Good evening, live from Redcar, the playground of the rich and famous. It's the Friday live stream. It's a special one tonight. We've got a special guest here. This is a chap you know by name and reputation pretty well. This is Bottleneck Bob. Say hello, Bob.
Hi, guys. How are we doing?
Evening. Anyway, let's see who we've got in. That's usually the first thing we do. Let us know if you can hear us okay, because we're obviously sharing a mic between us. We got Jimmy James, Thomas, Malcolm Spillett, Helmet, Anton, how are you, mate? Brad Matthews, Jason Carter, Andy Hawke, Frank Boland. Let's just scroll up the chat a little bit and see who else is in. Deco Dude, how are you, mate? Michael Clark, Derek Clacton, and Sean. Congratulations, Sean. First comment, mate. First in the chat. Well done. Yes, indeed. So, how you all been doing? Like I'm waiting for an answer. Yes, it's been a busy week here at Robson Towers, as is always the case. And as I say, got Bob here with us. He's up. What is it you're up here for? Is it work at the moment?
It's specifically I came up to do that video with you into this morning.
Thank you.
That was the only reason I was in the area.
Oh well, fair enough. I'm
specifically. No, it was just I had a free day, so I decided to do it.
So. Yeah, there's Bob brought a couple of guitars up with us, and I recorded a little bit of a solo with them. I'm going to be talking about those in a video. That's probably going to be week after next by the time I put that together. And yeah, so what a busy week. Let me tell you, now the ads are probably finished, what's coming up on the channel this week. First and foremost, some news for you. I've been looking at the viewing figures for the Saturday videos. Let's have some light in here, shall we? I've been looking at the viewing figures for the Saturday videos, and when everybody was locked inside the houses and nobody was going anywhere, and they were getting pretty good viewing figures, but now not so much. So the Saturday videos, I'm afraid, are no more. There's going to be no more videos on a Saturday, but they're going to be on a Sunday instead. What used to be the Saturday lunchtime video is now going out at 5 p.m. on a Sunday. I was going to kind of do it at 6 p.m. like all of the videos through the week, but then I thought, well, no, China Mike guitar chap, he puts his live stream on at 6 on a Sunday, and I didn't want to go up against him. So it's going to be 5 p.m. for what used to be the Saturday video, 5 p.m. on a Sunday these days. And frankly, what else is on? What are you going to do? Watch Antiques Roadshow? It's anyway. So that's Sunday's video, and it's this week. It's in response to a request about some Hendrix Frusciante style rhythm lead guitar playing. So that's happening at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Then on Monday, I'm going to be doing, a classic solo, basically. It's been demonetized already because of a copyright claim, but I don't care. It was one I wanted to do. A little bit of David Gilmour for you. That's Monday's video. Then Tuesday, I'll be picking my top 5 AC/DC performances. Wednesday is more theory stuff. Had a request to do something on some exotic scales, so that's what we're doing on Wednesday. Thursday is a new guitar day. It's there's an unboxing and a review of a guitar that I'm not going to tell you about until Thursday because I want to keep you in suspense. And then on Friday, obviously, we're back on the beer again, so that's what's coming up this week on the channel. So how are we all doing? AC/DC, nice one, John. Yes, indeed. I do like a bit of AC/DC. And I have to say that there's tunes from the whole kind of spectrum of the band. There's early stuff, and there's one track from the last album, actually. Power Up. That's as good an AC/DC album as you'll ever likely to hear. So that's going to be an interesting video. I say that's what's on it, but I've narrowed the list down to about 7 or 8 at the moment, so I'm hoping to get it down to 5 by Tuesday, and I'll probably do the video first thing Tuesday morning and get it up for Tuesday, 6 p.m.
I came up with an idea. I think you might be able to do something like this. I'm not sure what you think about it, John.
Go on then.
It would be interesting from my point of view to see your top 5 riffs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay, yeah.
That's a kind of a series of videos.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think to that?
Well, I'm always looking for
ideas.
It's there is that awful moment sometimes, and I'm thinking I've got to do a video for tomorrow. I haven't got any ideas. See if you can spot which videos on my channel kind of were last minute kind of panicky ones like that. There's one or two. At least you didn't name the wrestlers you had in your mind, mate. Oh, sorry, you're talking to Jason there, are you? Excuse me. Pollen. Yes, it's a fantastic. I should make him me consultant, shouldn't I? My creative director or something. Hello, Craig. How are you, mate? How's it going? Oh, we've just got the Essex cat in. I see the viewing figures are going up. Some people are late to the party. It's
can't be helped sometimes.
Can't be helped sometimes. Evening, Sergi. How are you, mate? Good evening, Donald from Atlanta, Georgia. I hope what time of day is it over there? Is it time to have a beer? It's got to be. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and that's all you got to remember. What do you mean Palm John, like in Holland? I don't know what you're talking about there, Kieran, but maybe I'm missing something. Bob, can you talk about cigar box guitars? The floor is yours, Bob.
Yeah, I've made a few over the years. I've only got one of my own that I've made. The others I made, people expressed an interest and offered me money for them. And as I always say, cash is king. But yeah, cigar box guitars, they're obviously harking back to the early days of the blues when people couldn't afford to buy proper guitars. They'd make guitars out of anything, really. I've made it out of an old oil can, and you'll have seen oil can guitars. In fact, if you've ever seen a very good American blues rock performer called Samantha Fish, she's always got some form of 3 or 4 string cigar box oil can guitar. It's something that I've taken an interest in. Recently, I suppose in the last 5 or 6 years, it's not been something that I've ever contemplated prior to that, and I've no idea really where it came from. I think I tell a lie. I think I saw somebody playing a gig in Sheffield where I live, and he was using something that I thought, well, that just looks ridiculous. What is it? Anyway, I went and chatted to him, and yeah, cigar box. And they're a great thing. And it always, whenever I take it on a gig anywhere, it always goes down well. People ask me, what are you going to do as another one on that little one? Play that little one again.
So if I can just put in there, because you know more about cigar box guitars than I do, but which wouldn't be difficult. What's the score with them? Is there like a standard tuning for cigar box guitars, or do you just make it up? They
tend to be the ones I use. It's kind of an open G, so it's GDG.
Got you.
And you can do it in CBC. Mm-hmm. So you just take the middle 3 from any open tuning from a standard from a guitar, and use those 3 on a 3-string cigar box.
Okay.
Or the 4. And you can go either side of the 4 if you want.
I'm with you.
So, and you'll get that same open tuning. 3 seems to work very well, because what you can do is you can play the bottom 2 and then just keep the top one droning with your thumb.
Yeah.
The ones that I'm just in the process of starting to make another one, but this one's going to be fretted, whereas every other one I've made's had no frets on it. It's just had the frets drawn on with a Sharpie, basically.
What, so you play it slide?
Just play it slide all the time.
Well, interesting you should mention that, because I've been mulling over the idea of building my own lap steel. Because, I mean, in the immortal words of the Top Gear lads, how hard can it be? It's because, you don't need to worry about any of the normal things you would need to worry about when you're building a guitar. All you need is essentially a plank of wood that's the right length, and a pickup and a bridge and some kind of nut at the other end, tuners obviously, and a pickup. It's got to be, you know, even somebody as cack-handed as me should be able to build something like that, I reckon. And but then again, you look on Toman and you can buy a Harley Benton lap steel for £100, or you could. Well, last time I looked, I don't know if that's still the case. So, but then you haven't got the satisfaction of having built it, have you?
No, and that's part of why I like to build my own cigar boxes, because it's a great thing. You know, the when the result's there and you think, oh, look, I built that. And I tend to use, for the saddle and for the nut, I tend to use an old bolt cut in half.
Just reading a comment here by Andy Hawke. Bought an oil can guitar just outside of Cape Town 15 to 20 years ago, made by Township Guitar. Thought I got something completely unique. Got home and found out they sold them in Milton Keynes.
That's usually the way. But I tell you what, that was probably a South African oil can, and you won't buy one of them in Milton Keynes, will you?
No, true. My apologies to Mr. Gilmore, but staggered pickup pole bits on a flat fretboard, not for me. Don't make sense, i.e. the ST57DG. Do you know what, Dave? It's just a hunch, but I don't think David Gilmore had any design input on that Harley Benton ST57DG. It's just, you know, I think, you know, it's just, you know, I'm not even sure he's even heard of it. So, you know, I do agree with you, though. I mean, you know, the staggered pole pieces on a flat fretboard guitar, it's, what's the point? But, you know, it's a budget guitar and they're using what's in the parts bin. So, you know, that's just one of the drawbacks of having a guitar that's, you know, what was it, 150 quid? Seasick Steve plays unique guitars. Indeed, he does. Yeah, I mean, like most people, I think my first experience of hello, Bottleneck Bob, says Robert Z.
Hi there.
My first experience of Seasick Steve was on that Jules Holland Hootenanny show. Dear me, it's got to be getting on for 20 years ago now. And the amazing thing is, however long ago it was, when you see Seasick Steve today, he looks exactly the same age as he did, you know, 15, 20 years ago on the Jules Holland thing. You know, I get the feeling he looked like that even when he was 19, though, you know. I
got one of his albums well before that.
Yeah.
And mate of mine, he likes his blues, he likes his music, says, have you heard of a guy called Seasick Steve? I've just seen him on Hootenanny. I said, yeah, I've got the first album he made. I've got a copy of that. You're welcome to have a listen if you like. And he said, oh, already you knew about him before Hootenanny? I said, yeah. And I'll tell you how come that happened. A friend of mine was over in America and he saw him. And he actually bought me the album over there before he became world famous. He was digging it up in the States already by then.
Yeah.
It will be 20 years ago, I reckon.
Yeah. So, yeah. Can you play Texaco blues on an oil can guitar?
I guess you can.
Ba-da-dumsh. Can someone get Jason Carter banned? Evening, S. Wainscott. How are you, mate? Seasick Steve is my namesake. Same first and last names. I can't play like him, though. I have more strings. Yeah, it's amazing. I can't remember which festival it was. I don't think it was Glastonbury. But it was something like that. It was on TV, and you know, he'd obviously kind of earned a few quid because he was able to hire John Paul Jones to come and play bass for him, and they had a drummer, and they had Steve, you know, kind of sat on his chair, you know, with the what's he call that guitar, the diddly bow, and John Paul Jones, and it was, you know, you get some sort of power trios where it's bass, drums, and guitar, and it's not often the biggest sound. It's quite a, you know, it can be quite a sparse sound. But this guy with a 3-string guitar and a bass player and a drummer, they made this immense, huge sound. It was just like, it was a little bit like when I saw Jeff Healey play live. You know, you're looking at it and you're thinking, that can't be right. You know, your eyes and your ears don't match what the sensory inputs are giving you.
Yeah.
But you know, it was fantastic gig. I'd go and see him live in a shot if I had the chance.
Was that the 2003 Isle of Wight festival?
It might have been,
because I think the first festival he played in the UK, I believe, was the Cambridge Folk Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got the Isle of Wight, and then Glastonbury wanted him, and he finished up winning Glastonbury twice.
It might have been Glastonbury actually, because I think it was a little bit later than 2003.
Right.
Bushy one string is amazing. Literally plays the guitar with one string and sounds great.
That's a diddly bolt.
Never heard of Bushy one string. John, you should have a special guest every week, not Jason Carter, though.
What was Jason Carter upset then?
He's one of the regulars. He's in the chat and he keeps...
I've seen Jason Carter's name in the chat, but
he's.
I can't imagine he's upset anybody.
No, he has a fondness for kind of jokes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no wrong with that.
Hi, John. Look up Chicken Bone John, godfather of the cigar box guitar. He makes some amazing guitars.
He does.
Oh, Robster boy, how are you, mate? How's it going? That's my pal Robert in the States. Buy one string, G. Yes, indeed. There's got to be a joke in there somewhere, hasn't there? Justin Johnson is a great player.
He's
Oil
very
can,
superb.
shovel guitars,
Yeah.
and I think you mean diddly bows, not didgeribows.
Yeah, diddly bows, one stringers. Justin Johnson's amazing. If you've never watched any of his stuff, I strongly recommend you look at his YouTube channel. He is awesome. Absolutely awesome.
I shall give that a go. Yeah. Where are we? What tone steel is recommended for a shovel guitar? I have no idea. Does it matter? Hi guys, really enjoying the Free Sky Arts channel on terrestrial TV. Loads of good music programs. Alchemy Live, yes. 1983, Hammersmith Odeon on last night. Yeah, I've got that on. I think I've got that 3 times, that Alchemy gig, because I remember back in the 80s it was actually shown us on TV as part of a BBC Two music extravaganza. And of course, you know, the old Ferguson video star, play and record, as you do. And then I think I got it on a legitimate VHS copy, and I think I've got it on DVD somewhere as well. But these days, whenever I want to watch it, it's on YouTube. So I just kind of, rather than digging the DVD out and, you know, kind of going through all of that, I'll just watch it on YouTube. I mean, that is a fantastic gig, that Alchemy
superb gig, yeah.
There was another from the Brothers in Arms tour. There was a gig that was on again. It was on TV, and I recorded it. Dire Straits gig, obviously Brothers in Arms tour, and that I think was even better than the Alchemy gig. You know, it was the band were just a little bit bigger at that point, and the production values of the gig were just a little bit bigger consequently, and better sound quality, yeah. But
well, they recorded a version of that which in Newcastle, didn't they?
Yeah,
that went out. Is that the gig you're talking about?
I think
the
it
Newcastle
might, yeah.
Gig? Yeah, it was awesome.
I'll tell you the one it was. It was the one where Hank Marvin comes on and does Local Hero at the end.
I'm sure that was Newcastle. Well, unless he went on the entire tour, but I saw that in Newcastle, and Hank Marvin came on at the end. Yeah.
Is it too early to mention the Harley Benton Tube 15? No, it's never too early to mention that. I am thinking about. I constantly say this. I want a little tube amp, and I want to start doing amp reviews, but it's all of the paraphernalia that goes with it, because basically you can't do a decent amp review unless you've got a decent mic to mic it up, and you know, a stand to put it on, and the expertise, because it is a real dark art miking up an amp. So there's all of that goes with it, and the learning curve that goes with it. But I am, you know, when somebody invents a 27-hour day, I'll have the time to do it. Harley Benton do a Tube 5 been looking at that. The AC/DC If You Want Blood album from Glasgow has clips on YouTube.
Absolutely fantastic.
Now, I don't think it's giving any spoilers away to say that on my AC/DC, picking my top AC/DC tracks, there's going to be at least one from the If You Want Blood album, because I'm probably kind of spoiling Tuesday's video, but when I was a student in the 80s, I was living in digs in this bed and breakfast accommodation, and sometimes when you're like 19, 20 years old, having money for beer is more important than having money for rent. And so I used to, I didn't always have the rent on rent day, let's put it that way. So I used to go out on long walks to avoid the landlady. And she was a lady of a certain age, and by 12 o'clock she was always, don't mind if I do, and the Gordons and the Schweppes was out, gin and tonics all round.
It'd have been a much better way to pay your rent, I'm sure.
so I used to kind of head off out until she'd had enough gin inside of her to make her a bit mellow, basically, and go on long walks around the Lake District, which is where I was living. And Walkman on, loads of spare batteries, and that If You Want Blood album was always, to this day when I listen to that album, I still think of walking up Scarfell Pike or Loughrig Common or something. Listening to If You Want album over and over is how I learned to play. Oh, well done, mate. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot worse ways to learn than listening to Angus and Malcolm, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Paul Stafford Cook just uses his smartphone for his amp mic on his YouTube channel. His amp sounds fine. Okay. That's got to be worth a try, hasn't it?
Paul Stafford Cook, he's good. Have you seen any of his stuff?
I've seen one or two, yeah. Another video I've got in the pipeline, actually, is, I've done it a couple of times already, my, 5 YouTube channels that I watch. Mm-hmm. But I don't get chance to watch YouTube that much these days. I'm not complaining about the fact that I'm busier than a fiddler's elbow, but it is what it is. So, ironically, I'm a YouTuber who's kind of not really keeping up to date with what's going on YouTube. Hi, Bob. Who is your favourite guitarist, both male and female?
Favourite female guitarist, I would say, is Joanne Shaw Taylor.
I'm with you on that.
Favourite male guitarist, I can't really pick one. I know you put me on the spot, and I will name one, but I've got such a lot of guitarists that I really enjoy listening to and trying to emulate, but I would say Gary Moore would be the top one.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So, yeah, Gary Moore, Joanne Shaw Taylor. Let's go for those two.
For me, Joanne Shaw Taylor, female guitarist. Or perhaps Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Oh, she's good as well. Yeah.
And male guitarist. It's too easy to say Gary, and Bob's just said Gary. So taking Gary out of the equation for the moment, I would probably have to say Robin Ford, because he's got all of the kind of, you don't hear him doing it much, but he has got a lot of the same kind of flash and shred as Gary, but he's got all the kind of snazzy jazz scales as well that I'm a bit of a sucker for.
Yeah, I think he's got. I find Robin Ford brilliant guitarist, but he's too, what would I say?
Jazzy,
finesse. He's got too much finesse, if you know what I mean. Gary, his solos are really dirty, aren't they? Whereas Robin tends to be. He's up there. He's a good guitarist, and I do like listening to him. He's not somebody I wouldn't ever buy, but just for me, he's a bit too clean, if you like me, if you know what I mean.
Listen to the first album he did with the band The Blue Line.
Okay.
I do know what you mean. There's often if you're not a fan of that kind of Rhodes electric piano sound, then
that's the thing
that can, you know. But the first album he did with the Blue Line, which I think, if my memory serves me right, there's maybe a bit of Hammond organ on it, but it's not particularly keyboard heavy, and yeah, it's a bit gritty and a bit raw. I'll send you a copy of the album anyway.
Nice one, thank you.
Oh, Craig, Nuno and Nita Strauss. Yes, I remember when you used to come for lessons with me, Craig, and you bring Nuno Betancourt solos in. That was always a challenge.
Nuno Betancourt.
Yes.
Good guitarist.
Great guitarist. And I mean, that album, that Extreme album, Porno Graffiti, I think was just a fantastic album.
Yeah, I've got that somewhere, I think. But on CD, I believe.
But I don't know, the follow-up, I wanted to like it. I really tried to like it. And Craig, what's he up to nowadays? What's Nuno doing these days? Because Extreme folded, didn't they? You know, did he kind of have I know he did a lot of session work. I remember he was in Janet Jackson's band, or was it Paula Abdul's band? I always got those two kind of mixed up a little bit. He was in one of their two bands. And I got the impression from reading guitar magazines that he was doing a lot of session work. But did he kind of have, you know, a solo career in his own name after that? Yeah, I'm with you, Anton. Gary Moore's Blues for Greenie is one of my favourite albums. Yeah, it's a fantastic album. And the other album that not many people seem to remember is that BBM album that Gary did with Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker. I'll just move that. Just noticed that mic is right in front of Bob's head in the camera.
It's probably better to look at that mic than it is to look at this ugly mug.
It looked like you were wearing a Busby.
Oof, don't say that, crikey.
Oh, Extreme is still going.
I think so.
Yeah, because didn't Gary Sharon do end up replacing Sammy Hagar in Van Halen for one album at least? Yeah, Nuno played on Janet Jackson's Black Cat. That was it. It was Janet Jackson, not Paula Abdul. Any votes for Bonnie Raitt? Oh, how could we forget Bonnie Raitt?
I haven't forgot her. She's, if I was second favourite female guitarist, it would be Bonnie Raitt.
There's a clip that keeps getting shown on old episodes of Top of the Pops 2 on the BBC where Bonnie Raitt is in her younger days. Like she looks
stunning,
absolutely. Well, yeah, but you know she looks about 12, and it's just that sort of sensory kind of paradox where how is that voice coming out of somebody that looks that young, you know? And the same thing when I first saw her. I first heard Joss Stone before I'd seen it.
Yeah, likewise.
You know? And it's like I didn't picture that.
No,
when I saw,
absolutely not.
John, have you tried the original wide range Fender pickups? Many moons ago. Yes, I have. Because didn't they have like that weird alloy in the magnets that you can't get anymore? Cunife or something, copper, nickel, and iron magnets that for whatever reason are very, very scarce these days. Yeah, Bob's sporting an afro. And let's try and give Bob an afro.
Oh, great! Yeah, that's fine.
When someone mentions a guitar, invariably you say, I have one of those. You have very discerning taste and plenty of room. Oh, you're talking to Malcolm Spillett? Yeah, not me. I don't have that many guitars. I've played loads of guitars over the years. And, you know, if only I'd hung on to some of the ones that I got rid of. Classic case was the, do you remember those late 80s, early 90s Japanese Fender vintage reissues? I got one of those new in 89, and it was a lovely guitar. Sonic Blue Strat, rosewood fretboard, 60s reissue.
Is that the one with the big headstock, the chunky?
No, that was
before the one before that.
Yeah,
with the slightly smaller headstock.
Yeah, this was like from, I think it was, if you're going to be year specific, I think it'll have been a 61, and the big headstock didn't come in until mid 60s. But yeah, I had one of those and got rid of it in about, I don't know, 2002, and got rid of it for about 200 quid. And you know, and nowadays everybody's going, oh, those Japanese Fenders from the late 80s, you know, and they fetch significantly more than I parted with it for.
Well, I feel the same. I had my first electric guitar was a Yamaha Pacifica.
Craig wants to know how you're getting on with the Gordon Smith.
Oh, the Gordon Smith is, I love it. It's a guitar that I shall never part with. In fact, I said to my better half the other day, I said, out of all the guitars I've got, if you bury me with one, it's the Gordon Smith.
I'll come and dig you up.
No, I love the guitar. It's absolutely amazing. There is not anything I can fault about it.
Yeah, Craig's got a nice Gordon Smith. You might have seen the video I did with it. It wasn't long after you'd been round with that Gretsch resonator.
Oh, the resonator one, yeah.
And you know, it's Craig popped round here with it, and beautiful guitar. I mean, it's
is that the GS2.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that video.
Yeah. I mean, it's PRS core quality, and it's, you know, I mean, let's say very reasonably priced. I'm not going to use a word like cheap.
No, you can't call a Gordon Smith cheap. Don't matter.
Yeah, they are fantastic. They are fantastic, Craig. I cannot rule out another one at some point in the future. Don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely ecstatically happy with my Scott Guitars signature model. It's
beautiful.
Yeah, Bob's been having a play on that today. It's just, you know, everything I want in a guitar, really. But then again, you always want more, don't you? Oh, you don't have to move the mic. Oh, your connection is unstable. Please wait. While we try to reconnect. I might be buffering, chaps. I'm having technical issues here. I think it's, let's have a look. Yeah, my internet connection appears to be stable. Am I buffering, chaps? Oh, I'm making it across the pond. Okay, so right, it's just a you know, somebody crying wolf, basically. No buffering. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Hang on, there was a message up there that I wanted to go back to. Where are we? Has anyone tried a Cort G290 Fat? Well, no, I haven't, but I have got a review of a guitar made by Cort coming up this week, and that's as much as I'm going to tell you. John, have you seen a young lady called Isla Tesla, maybe on YouTube? Very talented guitarist. I haven't, mate. No, as I keep saying, you know, a typical day for me is I'm at my desk, usually 7 a.m., and I'm doing a backing track, or I'm doing graphics for videos, or I'm, you know, kind of doing a solo. I'm tabbing something out. And then it gets to about 9 o'clock, I start teaching, and that's usually through to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then maybe another hour or so kind of blithering into a camera to make a video. And then I'm teaching again, and then an hour here and an hour there where I'm doing videos. And then it's 9 o'clock at night all of a sudden, and then the day's gone, you know. So I don't get a chance to watch a lot of YouTube, really. In YouTube reviews, the GTX speaker sounds terrible. Fair enough. I don't know. So I'm sorry. I'm just going to scroll back up the chat again. Could anyone help? I want to get a new amp effects Should I buy a nice clean amp and a multi-effects pedal, or one for all GTX 100? I see what that GTX comment was about. It depends on what you want to do, mate. You know, there are two types, I think, of guitar player. There are the ones who want to absolutely nail the tone from this song and from that song, and they want an amp that can sound like a Fender, a Marshall, a Boogie, a Soldano, etc., a Vox, etc. And if that's what you want, then you're going to need something that has all of those kind of tones in there and the associated effects. I've always been more of the opinion that, well, my drummer doesn't change snare drum for every song. So why do I need to change guitar sound? As long as I can get a good quality clean, a good quality crunch, and a good quality dirty sound out of an amp, then I'd rather go for kind of a good all-round amp that'll do each one of those sounds, and then a little bit of reverb and a little bit of chorus, and that's all I've needed. And I mean, I've played in blues bands, rock bands, country bands, indie bands, top 40 bands, all over the years, and that is the simple setup that's always seemed to serve me well.
And the other thing, if you're playing a gig and you've got to set stuff up on your amp between every song, it's awkward. You need pedals.
Yeah.
You kick your pedal and you kick your pedal off, then you play whatever you want to play. I always find that if you've got to keep switching the amp to sim whatever it is you want to sim for that particular song, then go back to it. It's,
in fairness, you can do that with a foot switch. You
can do it with a foot switch if you've got two channels, yeah.
Well, no, something like the Boss Katana, for example.
That does have a foot switch. Don't change it.
But I've never been one for doing impersonations of different sounds. As long as I can get, a sound that will fit in the context, that will serve the song, that's what I'm, concerned with. John, I was unsubscribed from your channel. Weirdly, I've seen a few channels having these issues. Have you had any problems with your channel? I do notice when I go into my kind of YouTube studio and look at that, it'll be sort of. I don't know what am I at the moment, about 20,960, and then I'll go in like half an hour later and it'll be 20 less, and then I'll go in like the next day and it'll be 40 more. So it kind of ebbs and flows. I don't think, like some people say, that it's some kind of grand conspiracy. I think it's just IT being what IT is, not reliable, basically. But that's why I say in every video, kind of click the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you can see when you're watching a video whether you're actually subscribed or not. So if you think you're subscribed, just check every now and again to make sure that you are. I've used Guitar Rig Live on a laptop. Yeah, I've seen a few people doing that, actually. And it's if, and it's a big if, I were to go back to gigging, that might be a solution I would look into. But I think I would probably go with just an amp, a lead, a chorus pedal, and because I'm a dinosaur, basically. I've been unsubscribed from a load of channels. It's an algorithm glitch. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Ozzy. There are some people who think that yeah. How are you, Ozzy? I hadn't seen you in earlier. There are some people who think that there's some Machiavellian, excuse me, I've had a beer, like a Blofeld kind of character stroking a cat somewhere behind the scenes, kind of playing silly buggers, basically. But I just think it's, just IT being IT. Got a Gordon Smith GS2 for 200 quid in cash converters about 10 years ago. It's good. Got a gig bag and chucked in and 10 quid off. You are the jammiest person on the chat tonight.
Absolutely fantastic.
Mind you, Bob, tell them about where you got your dot.
Okay. I've got an Epiphone Dot Studio, which a friend of mine found in a skip in Hull.
For our American viewers, that's a dumpster.
Oh yeah, a skip. Yeah. Anyway, he dragged it out, wiped most of the muck off it, and then he contacted me and said, he said, it's no good to me, this guitar. He said, you interested in buying it? He said, I take 125 quid. So I snatched his hand off for that. I got it home, and a little bit of Autosol, which is a metal polish that's really a good quality metal polish, and a duster, and I just kind of used the metal polish like I used to bull my boots when I was doing military training back in the day, and buffed it up. And there's one pretty deep scratch that I just can't shift, but you wouldn't know that guitar had been in a skip. I've done some setup work on it, set the action right, put some decent strings on it. 125 quid. But it's not a Gordon Smith for 200. That tops that all day long.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of guitar bargains I've had. I suppose the one that springs to mind, you can just about see it on the wall behind us, the knackered-looking Telecaster thing there. With what everybody thinks is a Paisley scratch plate, but it isn't. It's made of old beer bottle labels.
Fantastic. I love that scratch plate.
I originally bought that. I'll tell you the story. I was out walking the dog one evening. Well, I say one evening. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and I wasn't really walking the dog. I was emptying the dog. Let's put it let's call it what it is. And there's a charity shop in town, and I walked past, and it was closed that time of night, and there was a Telecaster, or what looked like a Telecaster, in the window. 25 quid. And I thought, that can't be right. So I went back the next day and went in and played it, and I could tell the action was high, and there was fret buzz and what have you. I thought, but for 25 quid, I can part it out and make more than that. I think what it was a kit guitar that somebody had got fed up with, or kind of got stumped halfway through the build, and just given it to the charity shop. So I bought it and got it home, set it up, dressed the frets, and it was a fine guitar. And then I had to go refinishing it, which didn't go too well, as you can see. But it's a great guitar. I use it for slide all the time now.
Is that the one you call your Frankencaster?
Yeah, that's the Frankenstein guitar. What do you think of getting a PA for live gigs and just using the Sonic 8 rock stage in front?
Good idea.
I think that's a fantastic idea, Ozzy. The last lot of gigs I did was back in about 2013, 2014. So it's getting on for 10 years ago now. That's the last time I was regularly gigging. And I wasn't using the Sonic 8 rock stage. I was using the old Vox Tone Lab. And that was just straight into the PA, a little bit of fallback coming through the monitors. And it was great. It was just, had all my sounds on there. And, I didn't have to set up an amp. I didn't have to lug an amp to the gig. And as long as you've got decent monitoring, that's the only thing. My favourite buy was a Burns King Cobra in absolutely mint condition for just 120 quid.
Wow.
It remained one of my favourite guitars over the years. Sometimes eBay does work. Yeah, well, I got an eBay story to tell you, but I can't tell you that until Thursday, because that's when the new Guitar Day unboxing thing is coming out.
Another regret of mine, I had a Burns Marvin, which I let go cheaply. I bought this Burns Marvin off a friend of mine that had got into a bit of hard times in the 80s. He'd lost his job, and he looked like he was going to lose his house, and he was selling everything, golf clubs, shotguns, the whole thing. And I bought the Burns Marvin off him, and I gave him almost new price, because it was almost new. And then a couple of years after that, I fell on hard times and I had to sell it, and I let it go for very, very cheaply. But I sadly regret that, because that was a lovely guitar, superb sounding thing.
Yeah, I think there's always been guitars that slip through your fingers, and guitars that you think, I sold that to pay a gas bill, or I sold that the kind of, you know, to kind of make the mortgage that month. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't wish to kind of get into any kind of legal issues here, but there is a certain well-known high street chain of shops in the UK that buy and sell used goods, and they may be, you know, kind of talking about converting cash, if you know the branch of shops I'm talking about. Anyway, I had an absolutely gorgeous Fender Light Ash Telecaster. Now, if you don't remember the Light Ash Telecasters, they were made in Korea, but they were essentially, it was a one-piece ash body with a bird's eye maple neck, 22 frets, Seymour Duncan pickups, and I think it was I can't remember the brand of the tuners, but they were more than just some no-name brand of tuners. Beautiful guitar, and Fender stopped making them because they realised that they were kind of out-specking the made in Mexico Telecasters. They only made them for a few years, and I had one, and I fell on some hard times and took it into this local branch of this shop, and they said, "Oh no, sorry, son. We'd only get 195 if I put that in the window, so I can only offer you 160 for it." And I thought, well, okay, fair enough. I was desperate. They know when you walk into that shop with something to sell that you're desperate. So I took the money, and then you got a month to buy it back, you know, at an inflated price, obviously. And I didn't have the money, so I didn't buy it back. And then the day after, I was walking past this shop, and it was, oh, you got a Light Ash Strat, have you, future-proof? Yeah. Anyway, I was walking past this shop the day after I was able to buy it back, and it was up for $499. You know, which it's not the fact that they said, well, yeah, we know you're they could have said, yeah, well, we know you're desperate, so we're going to offer you a pittance for it, and I would have still taken it. It's the fact that they lied to me. That's what sticks in me craw.
Absolutely.
Yeah, George Wall had a Light Ash Telly. It was a fantastic guitar. It had Seymour Duncan Alnico Pro 2 pickups in it. Sorry, I've had a beer, as you can tell. Seymour Duncan pickups, fantastic guitar. It looked, I used to take it to gigs, and people would say, God, is that a custom shop? You know, it was that good looking, yeah, and that well, and sounded that good. So, you know, if you see one on eBay for, you know, a Fender Light Ash Telecaster, or they did the Light Ash Strat as well. If you see one on eBay, then, and it's at a good price, then just buy it. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. So that for me, that's my story of the one that got away.
Yeah, I've had a few disappointments with guitars.
In your heart, you knew they would lie. Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose so. But you know, it's you know, more recently, the wife had an Android tablet that she wasn't using, and you know, it was perfectly good. It was perfectly serviceable. I can't remember what brand name it was, but it wasn't a big. It wasn't like, you know, a Samsung or something like that. But it was a fairly high spec Android tablet, and she'd just upgraded. She's got a new laptop, and she didn't need this tablet anymore. So I took it into that same shop, and they offered me a £5 for it. £5. So I said no.
I'll stick all of it.
Yeah, no. I took it over the road and gave it away to the charity shop.
Too bloody right for a £5. Because they'd have sold it for 30 or 40 quid and wanted 50 quid maybe.
Guys, try the new Electro Harmonics Howitzer pre and power amp with controls in the pedal side. Okay, yeah, that's a good tip there, Dave. The Electro Harmonics pedal I'm keen to try, and it's been around for years now. is that one, and I don't know the model name or number. But basically what it is, you plug your guitar in and it makes it sound like a Hammond organ.
Oh, no.
Oh, I like a Hammond organ.
Oh, no.
No,
Hammond organ's all right if it's played on an Hammond organ, but I don't ever want my guitar to sound like an Hammond organ.
No, I'm thinking about for recording.
Because, I see from that point of view.
Because when I'm recording, it's like, I want a Hammond organ on this part. There's
Leslie.
Yeah, and it's like I've got to program it all in MIDI and everything. Yeah, so if I could just kind of play it on the guitar,
I can see it from that perspective. Yeah.
Has anybody got an Echoplex? No, I haven't. I don't think I used to have a Melos Echo box, which is a similar kind of thing, a tape echo kind of thing, with the tape used to go in on a little cartridge at the back. Did a video about that ages ago, about my first ever gigging rig. And
was that the video where you still had hair?
It might have been.
I've seen that video recently. Yeah, if you're interested, there's some videos of John with hair, by the way.
Yes, there are. It's like I look at those videos. I tell you what, when I see myself with hair now,
it's who's that?
You know when you see those episodes of The Simpsons and they do a flashback and Homer's got hair.
Oh, brilliant! Fantastic.
John, any chance of getting your subscribers a discount for a Gordon Smith? I can ask, I suppose. I don't know how much clout I think some people think I have more clout than I really do. I'm a piffling little YouTube channel with 20,000 subscribers. I'm not like Phil McKnight or someone like that who's got like kind of gazillions, or Rick Beato. No disrespect to those guys. I'm not saying that. It's just like don't think of me as being like one of the big lads who can kind of wade in on your behalf, really, because I suspect if I said I'm John Robson, guitarist from YouTube, they're going to say who?
Although I have been in touch with the Gordon Smith factory to find out when that rolled off the production line.
Yeah.
2017.
I knew that. Do you know how I knew? Funnily enough, I wanted a tortoiseshell scratch plate for it.
Okay.
So I contacted them and said, can you send me a tortoiseshell scratch plate for this serial number? And they said, oh, well, because all our guitars are handmade, we'd have to hand make the scratch plate for you.
So do it.
But they wanted me to send the guitar to them for a fortnight.
Oh, no. So it never got its tortoiseshell scratch.
So it never got its tortoiseshell scratch plate, but they did kind of in that exchange of emails, they did tell me that it came off the bench in 2017. Yeah.
I said production line, didn't I? I didn't mean production line. It's not really a production line, is it?
Well, no, I mean...
Was that pre-Manchester then? Pre-Lancashire?
No, this was
after they moved to Northampton.
This was after they moved to Northampton. Yeah, it's...
Higham Ferrers, I believe they're in.
They are indeed, yes.
I used to spend a lot of time in Higham Ferrers at the Skewbridge Country Club a few years ago.
I don't know it, I'll be honest with you, but I used to have a mate in Northampton. He lives in Leighton Buzzard now, but he's he knew Higham Ferrers. John, would you be surprised how many guitar manufacturers you could get to? You would be surprised how many guitar manufacturers you could get to review stuff. NUX sent a new MG30 to YouTubers who have much less subscribers than you do.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just you see, at the core of it, lads, is I don't think of myself as a YouTuber. I genuinely don't. Maybe I should start kind of changing my mindset.
I think you should.
It's
you are a YouTuber, John, for sure.
Fair enough. I just this is a hobby for me. It's what it was when I started teaching the guitar back, 30 years ago. In order to advertise, I used to have to take out. I'm all right, Bob. But well, fair enough. Seeing as if you insist. In order to advertise, I used to have to put an advert in the Yellow Pages and in the local press and stuff, and that was how I generated business for me, bread and butter, which was, tuition. And then I started putting up YouTube videos, and I still think of that as basically advertising my tuition business. It's that's how I still think of myself. I'm a guitar teacher who does YouTube videos. I'm not a YouTuber.
Have you ever thought to yourself how many people have bought Harley Benton guitars as a result of your input to those YouTube videos?
Yeah, but I mean, there are bigger channels than me that have been going for longer than me that have been singing the praises of Harley Benton guitars. I mean, Henning, and Corey Mura. You don't see much of him these days, do you? Corey Mura.
Never come across him ever.
German lad, good guitar player, and Nick in the States as well. These were the people, and China Guitar Skeptic. These are the people who turned me on to Harley Benton guitars, and I started. And at the time, I'll be honest with you, let's not mince words here. I didn't have a pot to piss in, and I was skint, and I needed guitars to do things for YouTube. So, what's the cheapest brand? Harley Benton. And oh, thank you, Andy. You're a brilliant teacher and a brilliant presenter. Well, yes, I'll send you the money in the check's in the post, mate. Often we don't realise we're good at something if we find it easy. Basically, you're a natural and a brilliant. Oh, you're making me blush. Or is it the beer? But yeah, I mean, it's maybe I'm being too humble, but maybe that's just the kind of not the northern British lad in me coming out. But it's the other thing is I don't like going cap in hand to people and saying, "Hello, can you give me something free, please?"
You see, you don't do it that way, John.
You know.
I'll talk to you later in the curry house.
Yeah, we're off for a curry afterwards. I've always believed in pay me way in the world, and if I want something, I'll buy it, and if I can't afford it, I'll save up for it, Even if you're not skint, Harley Benton are a no-brainer. I have a CLA 15M, and it's classic. Hello, John from Louisiana. Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you, Brad. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Let's raise a glass to Brad. Excuse me.
To Brad.
To Brad. Thank you very much, mate.
Is that Brad in Louisiana?
I don't know. Brad, are you in Louisiana? John could quite quickly become the face of Harley Benton. I think they'd want a better face than this, to be honest with you. Before I used to be on YouTube, I used to have a show on a little tiny, minuscule local radio station, a community radio station. And if ever you've seen a face for radio, it's this one, frankly. John Robson guitar has influenced me to buy five Harley Benton. Oh, Robster boy, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, Robert.
Don't know you, Robert, but cheers.
He's a top lad, is Robert. He's one of my students.
Is he a local lad?
No, he's in the States.
Oh, right.
And Robert is your archetypal Southern gentleman from the States.
Southern?
Yep. I'm not being not at all influenced by your generous donation there, Robert, but I do look forward to the lessons with Robert because it's always just a conversation, it's just a...
And it's a damn fine name, isn't it, Robert? I've got to say.
Yes, it has, Bob. What about the guy who learned to play all instruments well by asking his other self? That's a bit deep and philosophical for me. Especially after this many beers. Enjoy your curry, guys. Been brilliant to have Bottleneck Bob as a special guest. Yeah, it has, hasn't it? We should do this more often. I might, well, anytime you're up, Bob, you know you're always welcome, you know, for this.
Thank you.
I might see if I can persuade Mr. Hoggett. He's not.
Well, he's a local lad, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just over the river. He's over in Stockton. I might see if I can get him round for a, because now we're allowed to meet in the same house. You
Absolutely.
know. See if I can get him round. Bottleneck Robert just doesn't have the same ring to
no,
it.
exactly.
Oh, Steve's in. Went to my first gig for ages last night.
Wow.
How are you, Steve, mate? Steve, I might be putting you on the spot here, mate, but do you fancy sitting in the hot seat one night, coming round here for a, you know, for a beer and a live stream? It's up to you, mate. You're up for it, mate. Fair enough. We shall exchange e-mithers. Like I say, John, your reviews are honest about tools do a job. You're not trying to sell stuff like the big boy channels. Well, you know,
and that's the difficulty. If you start getting kits sent to you by somebody like, I don't know, say Fender sent you a Strat, they'd expect you to give it a top review, wouldn't they?
Well, here's the thing, right? There's a couple of reviews that I didn't do because of that. There was a pickup manufacturer who sent me some pickups, and the first set they sent me were defective. So they said, okay, sorry, we'll send you out another set. And the second set were defective. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that. I'll do the review, but it's not going to be what you want to hear. And they said, okay, we'll send them back then. We don't want you to do the review. I said, well, okay, pay me the postage and I'll send them back. You know, so fair enough. I didn't do that review. Then there was a guy who makes plectrums, and he was going to revolutionize the world of plectrum manufacturing because he had this brilliant plectrum that was just better than everything else. Except when I tried it, it wasn't. And I said, you know, I don't like your product. And he said, well, oh, please don't do the review. So, you know, I just sent them the plectrums back. Well, actually, no, I think I binned them in the end. But the point is, if I do...
Integrity's got to be there, hasn't it?
If I do a review, it's, you know, it's...
Straight.
It's got to be something that I like. And if I don't like it, I tell the people who sent me the stuff, and I say, I don't like it. And... you know, whether they then want me to do the review or not is up to them, because it's the ball is in their court. But I'm not going to do a review of something that I dislike and then say, this is fantastic, you know, because I've got to look myself in the mirror in the morning, you know.
And you've got 20,000 subscribers that might take that as gospel, and then...
Fret Zealot, yeah, the Fret Zealot is a fantastic piece of kit. Back in the day, when I did the review of the Fret Zealot, it was before the whole lockdown thing, and you know, I was getting a lot more people coming to the house for lessons, basically, and I would put the guitar on it, put the guitar with the Fret Zealot on in their hands, and say, okay, see where it's lighting up, play these chords, and they would learn the chords much quicker. That way. It's a fantastic tuition aid. Do I use it as an experienced guitarist to kind of find stuff on that? Occasionally, yes, I do.
Right.
But it's not something that I use that much these days, because I don't have people coming to the house as much for lessons. Since lockdown, I've kind of gone more online. But yeah, the Fret Zealot's a fantastic piece of kit. You know, my courses are available for Fret Zealot, so, you know, I don't want my name associated with something and my courses associated with something that I don't think is up to the task.
Or value for money or whatever.
And it is. To be fair to you, John, it's something you have to say to yourself. Yeah, I'd go with that, mate. Anyway, we've been on over an hour, and being a man of a certain age, my bladder is telling me that we've been on more than an hour, and we've had a few beers. So I'm going to wrap up there, folks, for tonight, and probably going to head off out for a curry now, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. It humbles me every week that so many of you turn up to watch a fat, bald northern gobshite talk cobblers for an hour. But you do, and you seem to like it, so I'll keep on doing it until you tell me to stop. So for now, time, gentlemen, please.
Good night, guys. Thanks for having me.